Warren Buffett has long recognized the importance of patience and sticking within your circle of competence when investing. Buffett regularly uses the analogy of the baseball player who only swings at the ball when it's in his or her sweet spot. Unlike baseball, there are no called strikes in investing. An investor can wait for the day a good pitch comes along, and that's what I am doing. So let's take a look. Today we're going to look at two charts. First up here is the 12-year weekly chart on the spiders. I'm going back to 2007 to give full context here because I want to show you something here. So in the upper right of the chart here, we can see that the peak in, say, mid-late 2018 was in that point there, and then, of course, the bottom here. Now, from the top down to where we are currently, there is a trend line. Not real good line here, but that's a trend line. We just popped above that trend line, and I want to make sure that we stay above that, and whether or not we go above this trend line here. We've talked about this in the past, so hopefully you know what I'm referring to. Now, going back to 2015, 2016, there was a similar trend line. There was a peak at that point there, and then the trend line went down. And of course, as we know, the market moved up through that trend line, up through this trend line, and then continued on its way for another year or two. Now, back in 2007, 2008, into 2009, there was this trend line there. And it wasn't until later in 2009 that the market finally moved through the trend line and broke on its way up on a multi-year run. So these tops here, and this line is not real great, but you get the idea. These tops here form this trend line, and that's what I'm a bit concerned about right here where we are at 277.37. That level there. We popped through the trend line, but that simply could be my lack of drawing. I think we're going to hit some resistance here, and I want to make sure that we pop through that. And why? Well, I've got some red flags here to show you. In the 2015-2016 timeframe, we can see that the trend was moving on the way down. And again, of course, it popped up through here in early 2016. Back in 2008-2009, the same sort of trend line came through like that. And then we moved through here in, say, early mid-2009. Well, we have another trend line going at this point here. So the MAC hasn't moved up here. It's got a ways before it can move up and through, but that's the red flag that I'm looking at. I don't like this divergence here in the MAC. Let's go down here into the histogram. Look at that histogram. We were all the way down to a -4, and now we're pushing up to a positive or near a +2. That is a hell of a long way. That's where we were in the bottom of 2008, moving on up to there, which did go above 2. But in the meantime, the actual bottom of the market was right here, not down here in late 2008. The bottom of the market was in early 2009. So I want to see the pullback. I want to see it come down and see how far down we come in that pullback. So I'm waiting for the proper pitch. Here, again, price rate of change, trend line down. 2015, 2016, trend line down. Currently, trend line down. We're getting closer here with the price rate of change than we are at the MAC in this fast line here, but we still have a ways to go. I want to see how this performs once it starts to reach this trend line. Here, relative strength. It is a pretty good trend line as well, back here from 2007 into 2009. And then again, starting actually back in late 2013 into 2016 or so, the trend line went like that. This current trend line is here. I want to see that test. I want to see it make a positive move. Same thing here in the stochastics and the volume. The volume is increased, but it's not all that spectacular. Actually, it's a little underwhelming in my opinion. Moving in here to the Williams, somewhat the same. You get the idea. So back up to that price chart. I want to see a successful move through that trend line, and I actually like to see it move through the second trend line, but I want to see it move through and hold. And then I would actually like to see the test, a retest, but we may not get that. So only time will tell. So let's go to the next chart. Okay, so real quickly here. This chart indicates that basically the parabolic rally off of that December low is nearing the final stage, what I think might be the final stage, and then maybe we'll have a test. And what the chart here shows is the level of the S&P futures versus its 50-day moving average. And it shows that this move is very extended. In fact, over the past 20 years, it has been extended this far only twice. So for me, I'm going to wait for a better pitch before I swing at that ball. And so for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.